Hey, what's up guys? Today I want to talk to everyone about the judging situation in MMA. Obviously I'm going to be live streaming a lot this week, and I know a lot of questions are going to come up over how I felt about the judging from this past weekend at UFC 247. But I don't really want to make this video about UFC 247 because, let's be real, bad judging has been a problem in our sport for as long as I can remember. And every single weekend, one or two fighters are having their careers completely derailed after judges getting decisions wrong. Decisions that aren't even difficult to make if you know how to interpret the rules correctly. And that's what I want to talk about in today's video. So obviously, the biggest victims from last weekend were Andrea Lee and also Dominic Reyes. I just want to make it clear that it doesn't matter how close a fight is. Ultimately, we've got clearly outlined criteria on how to score MMA fights, and it's so clear that so many people don't understand them, they haven't taken the time to read them, and they're not using them. So if you think that John Jones beat Dominic Reyes because he finished the championship round stronger, he finished the fight stronger, and had that fight gone on for another 5 rounds, Jones would have finished Reyes. If you feel like that, you are a part of the problem, because the way that the MMA scoring system is set up, the first round is just as important as the 5th. So I don't care if you score later rounds stronger, if you think they carry more weight, that doesn't mean anything, because those aren't the rules that we're playing under. Similarly, Jesus, this guy is parked like a fucking clown. Sorry about this, guys. I don't want to curb these alloys. Ooh, that was close. Fuck me, part like a dick. Sorry. John Kavanagh posted like a tweet very recently saying that he knows it's wrong, he knows it's not how MMA judging works, but he just puts more weight on the later rounds. And again, it's one thing for us all to complain about bad judging, which affects everyone in the sport. It affects those of us that bet on the sport, it affects the fighters, it affects the fans, right, that don't want to see their fighters take robberies and losses. But guys like John Kavanagh, man, everyone should be working together, everyone should be singing off the same hymn sheet, speaking the same language to try and drive positive change. So when guys like John Kavanagh come out and say, oh, you know, I score the later rounds more heavier than the early rounds, that's not good enough for me. And it means that it'll always be a situation where we accept bad judging as long as there are guys within our sport like John Kavanagh that don't take this shit seriously. Also, if you're one of these people that think you have to take the belt from the champion to win the title, you are a part of the problem. It's the biggest load of nonsense ever. There is a clearly defined set of scoring criteria that every single athletic commission in the world should be using. It was created by John McCarthy and the ABC Rules Commission in 2017 for a reason. If you think that a fighter, a challenger, a contender needs to take that belt from the champion in order to win a title, you are a part of the problem. Also, if you are still 3 years on, if you are still talking about octagon control as a scoring criteria, you are a part of the problem. Yes, octagon control does count for a little bit if you read the actual scoring criteria, which I will leave a link to in the description below. But octagon control is only supposed to be counted as a scoring criteria when grappling and striking are equal, which they should never be. Like, it's very unlikely that you will struggle to distinguish the difference between the striking and the grappling, and you have to use octagon control as a deciding factor. Pre-2017, when we had the old scoring criteria, octagon control was a big thing. It's not anymore. If you're still talking about octagon control in 2020, you are a part of the problem. And let's be real here, guys, bad judging, it's cost me well over £50,000 in the last 2 years, probably more. It's difficult to quantify how much it's cost me, because with compound interested growth, you never really know how much you're missing out on winning, right? But it's not about me. This video is not about me. This video is about the fighters. And just looking at the biggest victims from Saturday night, right? Dominic Reyes and Andrea Lee. Let's start with Andrea Lee. There is just no fucking way on earth you can score that fight for Lauren Murphy. 30-27 Murphy was the deciding judge's scorecard on that fight, and it might be one of the worst scorecards I have ever seen in my life. For the first time ever, where a fight has been ruled a split decision, I think I actually saw every single media member that scored that fight score it for the fighter that lost. I've never seen that happen before. It's a disgrace to score that fight for Lauren Murphy. Andrea Lee outstruck Lauren Murphy in every single round, and in the third round she dropped Murphy early on in the round, had a deep submission and went on to outstrike her. How do you score that fight for Lauren Murphy? And then if we look at the real life implications of that fight, if you go back and watch the pay-per-view event, prior to both girls walking out, the UFC played promotional material hyping that up as a #1 contender fight. Now, irrespective of what you think of Andrea Lee's potential chances of beating Valentina Shevchenko, it really doesn't matter. The fact is, the judges have robbed Andrea Lee from an opportunity to better herself, to further her career. She's got a daughter, and the judges have taken a title shot away from her. They've taken a big payday on a pay-per-view card against Valentina Shevchenko away from her. And you never know what's going to happen in MMA, man. Maybe Andrea Lee does land a flash KO or catches Shevchenko in a miracle submission out of nowhere and wins the belt. And then they have to do the rematch. And then that's another payday for Andrea Lee. You know, Andrea Lee's talking about should have done more. She knows takedowns, are valued quite highly in MMA. And that's the irony of them. They're not. The scoring criteria was changed in 2017 to make sure that takedowns were only used as a significant scoring factor if the fighter that got the takedown were able to do something with it, either by submission attempts or establishing a dominant position or inflicting significant damage. Lauren Murphy shooting a takedown 10 seconds before the end of the round and having a little bit of top control shouldn't count for anything. So while I understand Andrea Lee is trying to be very humble and sporting and say all the right things, she got fucking robbed, and more people need to stand up for fighters like that because it's fucking wrong and it makes my blood boil. And let's go on to the even bigger victim from Saturday night, Dominic Reyes. He won the first 3 rounds of that fight clear. If you know how to interpret the new scoring criteria, there's no debate. He won rounds 1, 2 and 3. He won 3 rounds to 2. There were no 10-8 rounds. And now Dominic Reyes is facing a situation where he has had that title stolen from him by the judges. It has nothing to do with John Jones, man. It's not John Jones's problem. The judges have stolen the belt from Dominic Reyes. And the problem is, sure, you can go do a rematch. Yep, you can do Dominic Reyes versus John Jones next. But the problem is, like we've seen in the past, when John fought DC for a second time or Gustafsson for a second time, now John Jones knows exactly what to expect from Dominic Reyes. If Reyes rematches John Jones, he's going to get the best version of John Jones ever. And yes, Reyes will likely be better after spending 25 minutes into the cage with John Jones feeling him out, but it becomes much more difficult to beat John Jones in a rematch. So again, the judges have derailed Dominic's career. Who knows if Dominic Reyes will ever win another title again? He might go and fight Volkan Oezdemir or Alexander Rakic or another one of these monsters in the division. In his next fight, if John decides to go up to heavyweight, he might get knocked out, and then he's got to climb that huge mountain again to a title shot. It's just fucking disgusting. And I'm not going to go into the terrible scorecards from the rest of the event, like fucking Trevin Giles getting the first round on one judge's scorecard, or a 30-27 scorecard for Andre Ewell. I'm not going to go into all that, but it's just consistently every single weekend we're seeing fighters get robbed. I'm losing money every single weekend due to bad judging in live betting without fail, and it ain't fair, and more needs to be done about it. And it's not good enough for figures in the sport like Dana White just to be like, I'm not a judge, I can't do anything about it, or John Kavanagh to be like, oh well, I'm okay with the decision. At the end of the day, if the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers play in the Super Bowl and they get into a really competitive back and forth game, and the Kansas City Chiefs beat the 49ers 24-20, at the end of the game, people don't go, oh, you know what, that was a competitive game. I think San Francisco ran the ball better. You know what I mean? I think some of their touchdowns were a little bit more flamboyant and exciting. We're not going to let the Chiefs win this game, despite the fact they scored more points. We're going to award this win to the 49ers. It's an absolute joke, and the judging in MMA is broken. So at the end of the day, man, they always say, like, if you can't, if you're just complaining about something, right, you're a part of the problem, not the solution. So I just wanted to make this video, man, because I see in my comments all the time people talk about octagon control and fucking gotta take it from the champion and fucking later rounds count for a lot more, and it's fucking bollocks, boys. At the end of the day, none of us like losing money when the judges get the decisions wrong. It's not nice to see fighters like Andrea Lee and Dominic Reyes have massive detrimental consequences to their career because some pen pusher sat cage side couldn't be bothered to focus on the fight, take his job seriously and do his fucking job. So please, it's time we all start singing off the same hymn sheet, man. Don't just wait for one of these bad events to come up before we all start talking about this. I've been talking about this for years, right? Let's all get on the same page. Push the UFC, push Bellator, push the athletic commissions, and push the MMA media to keep talking about this and drive change. Don't wait for another UFC 247 to occur where a main event fight is the talking point. Fighters get robbed every single weekend on every single UFC event, and not enough is being done to stop it. So if we think about potential solutions, man, there's loads of people putting potential solutions out online. Luke Thomas has posted some good stuff, Brendan Schaub's posted some good stuff, and I was like, fuck it, man, do you know what I mean? If I was in charge of the UFC, what would I do differently? Like, what changes could I make to drive positive change within the promotion? How would I tackle judging? Well, the first thing is obviously you've got to take the power away from the athletic commissions. One of my elite members, a moderator on my website, Hiltsy, came up with a really good point, because Dana White always hides behind the fact that the athletic commissions have got all this power. But the reality is athletic commissions get paid by MMA promotions, boxing promotions, holding events in their state. So at the end of the day, the UFC do have an incredible amount of power over these athletic commissions. It needs to get to the point where the UFC are like, we ain't holding an event in Texas again until you address the judging situation. That's like the first stage. And also an idea that I absolutely love is, you know, judges being forced to show their scorecards on the jumbotrons at the end of every round is great, because it adds another layer of excitement to the fight, right? It enables the fighters to see exactly where they are in the matchup, which could lead for some incredibly exciting third rounds if a fighter knows they're down 2 rounds and they need to finish in the third in order to win. Also, on top of that, it is much less likely that a judge is going to throw out a bad scorecard when he knows there are 20,000 people in that arena about to see the bad job that he is going to do, about to see him actually screw a fighter. Can you imagine the type of shit a judge would take in an arena if he threw out a scorecard that was completely wrong? So I love the changes that the Kansas State Athletic Commission are making. It's unfortunate that the UFC barely ever hold events in Canvas. Obviously Invicta hold them in Canvas, Bellator hold many events in Canvas, so it'll be interesting to see how the new way of judging in the Kansas State, where they're now going to show scorecards at the end of every round, will change the sport. I'm very excited to see that. I think that's a fucking great idea. But one of my personal ideas is to actually make judging a part of the sport, a real big part of the sport, and make it a part of the broadcast. One of the most positive changes that I think the UFC has made to their promotion over the last few years has been to bring ex-fighters onto the broadcast team. You know, there's nothing better than listening to the commentary of Daniel Cormier or Michael Bisping or Dominic Cruz or Paul Felder. Personally, as a professional gambler, I've learned so much from the commentary of, you know, these ex-fighters, and I absolutely love to listen to them break fights down as they're happening. That's been such a positive change in the sport. So why don't we go one step further? Why not, you know, employ a crew of say 10 ex-fighters and 5 of them do every single fight, so you rotate throughout the night, right? And then every single one of these ex-fighters scores each round, and then after the fight, instead of going back to the ESPN desk where you hear like Karen Bryant and like Rashad Evans and Anthony Smith and Ariel Helwani talk about, like, you know, the fights from a really cookie cutter perspective, why not have a situation where you can go to the judging desk live octagon side and actually listen to ex-fighters who scored that fight, who were the judges, explain to the audience why they scored the fight the way they did? Why not make it entertaining? Why not make it a 5-minute segment after every single fight, instead of all the commercials, instead of all the cookie cutter content, instead of all the filler stuff from ESPN and the countdown shows? Have a fighters sat around the table all debating why they scored the fight the way they did. And can you imagine how entertaining that would be in a close fight where it's really oh my god, where it's really subjective which way the fight could be scored, and you hear ex-fighters, guys who have got tons of respect, tons of knowledge within the sport, debate the reasons why they scored the fight the way they did. It would be fucking amazing, boys. And that is all I wanted to say, man. A bit of a rant. Anyway, boys, that is it for this video on judging. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hit the like button if you appreciated this video, if you liked anything I said. If you want me to do more content like this where I'm just driving around running errands, and you'd like to hear my point of view on things, let me know, boys, in the comments below, and hit the like button to show some love. That is going to be it for this little rant on judging. Take care, have a great day. I love you all, and I'll be back very soon with another breakdown video. So yeah, take care, everybody, and have a great night.